Hey guys, so in my previous video, the one prior to this one, I said that I would make a video talking about some tips for if you have a billion call lights going off at once and you're just kind of starting to drown, or even just how to prioritize what you should do, things like that. So the comment that was originally left on the video was, can you talk about having multiple call lights in a shift of 18 to 20 patients for yourself? So that is kind of where this topic came from. If you watched the video that I uploaded prior to this one, then you would already have gotten that information. I kind of talked a little bit about my own personal experiences, but I felt like it might be helpful for me to share some tips for if that happens. If you find yourself in a situation where you have quite a few patients or residents to yourself, because I feel like 18 to 20, depending on what shift it is, or even just depending on the level of care that each resident needs, I think that, that could potentially be a dangerous patient to care provider ratio. And I say care provider because that's for CNA, nurse, doctor, well, not doctor, because they see a lot of patients in a day, but for people who are like right in the personal care of things, I think that it's important to minimize the ratio as much as you can, just for safe care. So anyways, if you have an assignment like that where people are on the call light and you find yourself, like I said, struggling to keep up, I would definitely say that what I always did when I would work units like that, or if I had an assignment like that, I would prioritize things. So what I would do when I first came in was I would usually, like if we had to pass ice waters, I would get all of the cups made as soon as I could, after checking on everybody, obviously, because the first thing I did was right after getting a report, I would do rounds just to make sure everybody's actually how they are described, whether that they need to be changed or just making sure that they're in the bed. Whatever the case may be, it's important to check on safety first. So after that, I would start like getting stuff together. I would get linens so that I had them all ready. I usually had a cart, or I would, if the facility didn't have carts that you could bring from room to room, I would get enough linen for a full bed change, plus a couple of washcloths and a towel at the bare minimum, and put them in every room, except for like rooms where it was someone who basically took care of themselves or was able to, able to care for themselves. So I would get all of that stuff set in the room, so then if it got to a point where everything was kind of going haywire, I would already have things that I needed, if that makes sense. I would also go and make sure that I was more frequently checking on those patients or residents that are confused, any that are high fall risks, or just fall risks in general, although most of the people in nursing homes are considered fall risks. I would be checking on them more frequently. People who are heavy wetters, I would be checking on them more frequently. But sometimes, like especially working night shift, when it's closer to shift change in the morning, call lights would start going off like crazy. Especially if it's close to breakfast, people are waking up, they want this, they want that. And so you kind of have to prioritize. Sometimes, like if it was a night shift and I knew that people would get on the lights first thing in the morning, a lot of times, depending on who I was working with, there was a particular unit where we did this a lot and it worked out great for all of us. We would kind of tag team the rooms. So we would be either doing them together if it was a difficult resident, and difficult, I mean like if it was someone that was very heavy and needed like a lot of assistance being turned in the bed even, especially if it was a get up, someone with a Hoyer or sit to stand where you needed two people there. We would work together on those. But a lot of times, like we would do the whole unit, and I kind of loved working at that facility just because of this. Like working on night shift there was amazing. because with that particular person, I should say, because we would go from room to room. You know, if it was a patient that or resident that we needed assistance with, then we would help each other. Otherwise, we would go, like, she would take one room, I'd take the next room. And then if she finished first, she'd go to the next room. And then when I finished, I'd go to the room after the one she was in. So we would, like, it didn't really matter what our assignment was. It was just like we were doing everything together so that everything got done appropriately within a good amount of time. And we definitely minimized call lights going off by doing that. Another thing I think is important is having a good relationship with your coworkers, or being able to know who you can ask for assistance. And I say who you can ask. I mean, you should be able to ask any of your coworkers, including the nurses, for assistance, but that's not the case in every single situation, every single facility, every single unit, because there are people who don't like, you know, being involved in teamwork. They don't like that. They tend to keep their own residents. They don't like anybody helping them, and they don't like helping anybody else. So it's important to do your best. Definitely prioritize patient safety and patient care over something like, hey, I need an ice water. Like, if you are in the middle of patient care and you're trying to do like a final round or a round, a period, because sometimes they can get crazy then, make sure that you are prioritizing. Usually what I would do is, if I had a bunch of call lights going off, I would try to figure out who was the first one. I would methodically work my way through call lights that way. It was a lot easier at the assisted living facility, only because like we had a notation on the pager of which one buzzed first, and it would say like how much time or how long that light has been going off for. So that was kind of helpful there. But otherwise, I would just try to prioritize like who I know might be a safety risk and try to answer them first. Like if it was someone who is a super big fall risk, I would definitely go to their room before somebody who I knew was able to take care of themselves when all the lights are going off at the same time. Like I said, I definitely would hope that your coworker would jump in, or even the nurse jump in, if they see like you have a bajillion call lights going off, because it's rough. And I think a lot of people don't understand that like working at a nursing home is not super easy, especially on night shift. A lot of people take for granted, like they think that night shift is the easiest because, oh, everybody's asleep. And that's really not the case. Like there are nights that are fantastic, and then there are nights that are insanely crazy where nobody's really sleeping except for like one or two people that always sleep, and it's like everything is just going nuts all at the same time, and there's less people, there's less help, you have a lot more residents to one person, and it's dangerous. So anyways, I hope that these tips helped, and yeah, let me know if you would like me to go into more detail on anything that I mentioned in this video. Let me know if there's another topic you'd like me to talk about. Again, I hope this was helpful. I enjoy sharing my tips and tricks that I have developed over the years. I've been working as a CNA for 7 years now, and I am no longer working as a CNA at this current moment in time. I am currently employed as a medical assistant. So there's that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, anything you want me to talk about, let me know, and I'd be glad to get something filmed for you. And I'll talk to you guys next time.